It was a humid afternoon in Ouagadougou, Burkina Faso's bustling capital when Ibrahim Traoré received an email that felt like a thunderclap. Elon Musk, the world-famous tech billionaire, wanted to meet him. The invitation was clear but challenging. Musk wanted to ask tough questions about Africa's future innovation and leadership. The stakes were high. Ibrahim wasn't just a leader, he was young, bold, and carried the hopes of millions. Yet doubts gnawed at him. Could he hold his ground against one of the world's sharpest minds? The whole continent watched silently, as this wasn't just any meeting, it was a moment that could reshape Africa's story forever. Ibrahim's heart pounded, not out of fear, but fierce determination. This was his chance to speak for his people and to show the world what Africa truly was, a continent ready to rise, unshackled from old stereotypes. But deep down, he knew Musk's question wouldn't be easy. It was a test that could either make him shine or shatter the fragile hopes resting on his shoulders. The studio was sleek and futuristic, buzzing softly with cameras and lights. Elon Musk sat across from Ibrahim Traoré, his eyes sharp and curious. The conversation began, casually, almost friendly, but soon Musk leaned forward and asked, "Mr. Traoré, Africa has faced decades of struggle. Why should the world believe your continent can innovate and lead? In technology, isn't it safer to rely on others?" The question hung in the air like a challenge. It wasn't just about innovation. It questioned Africa's ability to break free from poverty and conflict. Ibrahim's mind raced. He thought of his childhood, the dusty streets where he played, the struggles his people endured, and the dreams he carried for a better future. Then, with calm but fierce confidence, he responded, not with excuses, but with a vision so clear it stunned everyone. "The world's belief won't build Africa's future," he said. "Our people will. We don't need permission to innovate, we only need the chance to prove it." The studio fell silent. Elon Musk blinked momentarily. Taken aback, cameras caught every heartbeat, every micro-expression. Ibrahim's words echoed far beyond the walls. The silence was not empty, it was heavy with the weight of truth and hope. People watching live from every corner of Africa and beyond felt something shift inside them, a spark of belief that maybe, just maybe, the narrative about their continent was about to change. Traoré wasn't just defending Africa, he was speaking for millions who had been overlooked and underestimated for too long. Tears welled up in the eyes of some viewers, while others clenched fists, feeling pride swell. This was more than an interview. It was a declaration of dignity and strength. Musk's question, meant to shake confidence, had instead unveiled a leader's soul, a soul unafraid, unbroken, and burning with purpose, and the world was listening. After that powerful exchange, the cameras kept rolling, but the atmosphere had shifted. Ibrahim felt the invisible weight of millions of eyes on him, not just from Burkina Faso, but across Africa and the world. He could sense the hope and the doubt intertwined in that gaze. For years, Africa had been boxed into stories of struggle and failure, but here was a chance to rewrite those tales. Yet inside, Ibrahim knew the challenge was far from over. His people still faced poverty, conflict, and a lack of opportunity. Could a single conversation with a billionaire really change the course of history? He remembered the faces of children in remote villages, hungry for education and technology, their eyes bright with dreams. This was his true audience, not the global media or elites, but the millions waiting for a future where Africa's brilliance could shine freely. His calm exterior hid a heart pounding with responsibility. He had to speak, not just for himself, but for every unheard voice that deserved a chance to be seen, heard, and valued. As Elon listened, the conversation deepened. Questions became sharper, focusing on specifics. How can Africa compete in innovation without the infrastructure and funding that other countries have? Ibrahim's answer surprised everyone again. Innovation does not wait for perfect conditions, he said firmly. It grows in the cracks in the heart of communities facing adversity. We've seen brilliant minds build solutions with little more than hope and determination. He spoke of young African inventors creating solar-powered tools from recycled materials, of startups in Burkina Faso developing apps to help farmers predict weather, and of communities using technology to improve health and education. Africa is not behind, it is on the cusp. What we need is respect and partnership, not pity or patronizing. His words weren't just answers, they were a call to action. Elon's usual confident smile faded into thoughtful silence. Ibrahim's vision was clear, grounded in real stories and full of undeniable power. Suddenly, Elon Musk leaned forward, his eyes searching Ibrahim's. If Africa has such potential, why do so many investors hesitate? What is holding you back? The question felt like a challenge. Ibrahim paused, then spoke softly but with fierce clarity, because for too long the world has only seen Africa's problems, not its promise. Investors fear risk, but the greatest risk is ignoring Africa's potential. We are not a charity case. We are a continent of innovators, leaders, and dreamers. Give us trust, and we will show you the future. The camera zoomed in on Elon's face, surprise, respect, and a hint of humility, all mixed together. That moment broadcast live ignited conversations worldwide. People from Nairobi to New York, from Cape Town to Paris, shared and debated. It was more than an interview, it was a turning point, and Ibrahim, true with his quiet strength and vision, had shifted the story. The question had backfired, but it revealed something far greater. A new narrative filled with hope and determination. Just as the conversation reached millions, a small village in Burkina Faso stopped everything. A young boy named Yakuba was watching the live stream on a shared radio-powered TV in a school built from mud bricks. The kids around him were barefoot, but their eyes sparkled with wonder. For the first time, someone was speaking their truth on a global stage. Ibrahim Traoré wasn't quoting statistics, he was talking about them, about kids like Yakuba, who walked miles to school, who study by candlelight, who code on broken phones. Dreaming of something bigger, Elon asked, but what about electricity, education, internet? How can innovation grow there? Ibrahim smiled gently. Innovation is born from need. That child learning on a solar lamp, that mother running a business on what? That teacher using a chalkboard like a touchscreen, they are our innovators. They are not waiting for help, they are moving forward with or without it. Tears fell quietly in that village classroom. For once, they weren't forgotten. The room was silent, except for one soft whisper from Yakuba. He's talking about us. The studio darkened momentarily for a short break, but Ibrahim leaned closer to Elon and said, "Let me tell you a true story." He spoke of a teenage girl named Mariam in the northern region of Burkina Faso. Her school had been attacked during conflict. She lost her father, her mother grew silent, but Mariam refused to give up. She rebuilt her education from scratch. Using a neighbor's old phone and online videos, eventually she built a solar-powered light from bottle scraps so her siblings could study at night. Ibrahim pulled out a photo and placed it on the table. "This is her." Elon stared at the image. Mariam, holding a plastic bottle glowing from inside, standing in a broken classroom, smiling proudly. "This is innovation." Elon, Ibrahim said, "Born in the darkest places, not from wealth, but from will, and there are millions like her." Elon didn't speak. His eyes stayed on the photo. The studio team sensed it. This was no longer an interview. It was a mirror, and the reflection was uncomfortable, but undeniable. Within minutes, the clip of Ibrahim telling Mariam's story exploded online. Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, every platform lit up with reactions. Dire. Africa will lead trended in over 30 countries. In Paris, a teacher cried in front of her class as she played the clip. In Chicago, a former startup CEO tweeted, "This changed how I see Africa. I was wrong." But the most shocking moment came when Elon Musk himself tweeted, "I asked a hard question. I got an answer that changed me. Africa isn't behind its hidden brilliance. Ibrahim Traoré, you're a visionary." The tweet hit over 20 million likes in hours, and yet Ibrahim didn't celebrate. He sat alone in his hotel room that night. Rewatching Miriam's video, the light in the bottle flickered on screen like a tiny star in the darkness. He whispered to himself, "They see her now, they see all of us," but deep down he knew the journey wasn't over. The hardest part was yet to come. And the world was still watching. 2 days after the interview, something unexpected happened. To visit one of Tesla's gigafactories in Germany. The invitation was simple, but the meaning behind it echoed across continents. Respect, recognition, change. Traoré accepted not to impress, but to observe, to learn, and to build bridges for Burkina Faso. When he entered the factory, workers stopped what they were doing. Many had seen the viral video. Some clapped. One woman whispered to her colleague, "That's him, the man who spoke for Africa." As Traoré walked beside Elon, he asked one question: "Would you build something like this in Africa?" Vision is there, the leaders are rising. What we need now is courage. Yours. That moment was caught by a cameraman and quietly uploaded. It didn't go viral for its flash, it went viral for its silence, for the visible shift in Elon Musk's face. Something real was happening, and the world felt it back in Burkina Faso. Mariam, the girl with the glowing bottle, watched the video of Ibrahim at the Tesla factory with tears in her eyes. She was sitting in a tent, her village temporarily displaced due to insecurity. Yet she had built a makeshift classroom with rocks and sticks, teaching younger kids how to read using scraps of paper. That evening, a strange number called. She answered, trembling. "I'm proud of you." Came Ibrahim Traoré's voice. Mariam gasped. Her voice cracked. "I just want to help." "You already are," he replied. "The world is listening. Don't stop." He promised her a scholarship, but more than that, he promised her, who had lived in silence for years and was finally being heard, and across the globe. People were sharing her image. The bottle of light had become a symbol, not of poverty, but of power, of brilliance, of Africa's heartbeat. News agencies were now calling Ibrahim Traoré the unexpected voice of a continent. But then came the real test. A group of major Western investors sent a cold, formal message: "Your energy is inspiring, but Africa isn't ready for scalable innovation. The risk is too high." That night, Ibrahim sat alone, no cameras, no crowd, just his reflection in the hotel window. He thought of Yakuba, teaching under a tarp, of the farmers coding weather apps in huts. He whispered to himself, "They say we are not ready, but maybe they are not ready for us." The next morning he wrote a speech, not one full of big promises, but small, undeniable truths. When he read it at a global youth innovation forum, the crowd was silent by the end. Silent, then roaring. The words had hit deep. They didn't cry for pity. They cried for awakening. The moment had come. Africa was not knocking on the door anymore. Africa was building its own inside a dimly lit conference room in Geneva. Ibrahim Traoré stood before a group of global tech giants. On the screen behind him was a map of Africa, blank, no names, no borders, just land. "Why is this map empty?" a tech CEO asked. Ibrahim calmly replied, "Because for too long when you see Africa, you don't see the names, you don't see the people, you see risk." Then he pulled out 3 photos, one of a child coding on a broken laptop, one of a woman selling solar lights made from scrap, one of a teen repairing drones using old radios. In struggle and in silence, the room went quiet. Ibrahim walked off stage with no applause, but the silence was heavier than 1,000 claps. For the first time, the world had been forced to see not just Africa, the continent, but Africa, the creator. And something was about to shift. Back in Burkina Faso, thousands had gathered in Ouagadougou, holding handmade placards, not to protest, but to declare one child's sign. Read, "We are the future." Elon didn't expect. Journalists scrambled to capture the story. It wasn't a rebellion, it was a revival in the crowd. Yakuba held Mariam's hand tightly. The little girl had become a national figure. Schools invited her to speak. A foundation in her name had been launched. From the stage, a mother wept as she held a dusty photo of her son who died crossing the sea trying to reach Europe. If he had known this hope was coming, she sobbed, maybe he would have stayed. Ibrahim didn't just give speeches anymore, he gave direction. He showed his people their worth. The protest at the gates wasn't about asking for help, it was about saying, "We are enough." And Elon Musk, he watched from afar, speechless, because what started as a question had become a movement. It was midnight in Texas when Elon finally opened the letter. It had no return address, just one sentence on the outside. "You changed the world, but he reminded us why it matters." Inside was a drawing from a 10-year-old in Burkina Faso, a simple crayon sketch of a solar panel, a tree, and 2 figures, one labeled Musk. The other tray underneath the child wrote, "Thank you for asking the question, but thank you more for letting him answer." Elon stared at it for minutes, his hand trembling. In that moment he understood something deeper than innovation or progress. He had helped launch rockets into space. But Ibrahim Traoré had launched something more powerful: hope into the hearts of a continent long ignored. Elon Musk, the man who never cried publicly, closed the letter gently, and cried not out of guilt, but out of respect. Something had changed, and the whole world felt it. 6 months after the viral interview, something strange began happening across West Africa. Solar panels appeared in remote villages, not expensive ones, but panels built locally, assembled by young men and women. Once ignored, a program had launched, quietly sponsored by neither the World Bank nor the IMF. It was funded by the people themselves, guided by Ibrahim's vision. He called it the Seed Project. No fancy launch, no press conference, just a promise. We will grow our own future, even if the soil is dry one night under a tree in a dusty village. Grandmother cried softly. Her grandson, once addicted to glue, was now fixing solar lanterns. She touched the light, whispered in her native tongue. This light, it came from a question that same night. Elon Musk posted a tweet. Sometimes the smartest man in the room is the one who listens. The desert was changing not with rain, but with vision at a global summit in South Africa. Leaders gathered to talk tech, trade, and transformation. Cameras flashed, speeches echoed, but then Traoré took the stage. Alone, no papers, no suit, just a pair of dusty boots. He held them up. These boots belonged to a child. I met a child who had no shoes, but still ran faster than others because he had dreams. He paused the room, leaned in. Africa has been running barefoot. But we are not weak, we are not late, we are not waiting for charity. We are coming on our own feet. Tears welled up in the eyes of an Ethiopian entrepreneur. A Nigerian robotics student clenched his fist, and Ilonhi stood up and clapped first, alone. Then slowly the whole room followed, because in that moment they weren't applauding a president, they were applauding a mirror. Showing them what they had refused to see. Africa was not broken. Africa was beating stronger than ever in a quiet one-on-one moment. Backstage, Elon turned to Ibrahim and asked, "What made you believe when no one else did?" Ibrahim smiled faintly, his eyes distant, voice calm, because I knew what the world forgot, that dignity cannot be imported. It grows from within. Then came a surprise. Elon handed him a gift, a tiny model of the first Tesla Roadster. But Traoré reached into his own pocket and handed Elon something smaller, simpler. A stone. This stone was picked by Miam, the girl who taught herself coding under a mango tree. She wanted you to have it, she said. Tell the man with the rockets to never forget the children without ceilings. Elon's hands shook. He nodded. I won't. The cameras caught the moment the photo would go viral. And so the story came full circle. A question and answer. And now, a future, dear viewer. If this story touched your heart, if you felt a tear or remembered someone who's been overlooked, then don't let it end here. Like this video to shine a light on Africa's rising future. Subscribe to this channel for more stories that lift your soul. And most importantly, comment with one word, hope, because sometimes it only takes one voice to change everything. Thank you for watching. Africa is not behind, it is becoming.